Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning and we ask and seek your leadership, your guidance, your wisdom as we conduct the business of the county this morning. We continue to lift up our county to you, Father. We are grateful for the blessings that you have given to our county and our safety. We lift up our state and our nation and all our leaders as well, Father. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to call the special session meeting to order now. As required under General Statute 143-318.12. So we will be in session, and the purpose of this meeting is to hear from our emergency team and see what's going on. And I hope we can get some answers to how it's working. If it's working well, we need to know that. Okay. Good morning. I don't like this without lights in the back. I can't see who's sitting back there. Didn't even see the superintendent sitting there this morning. Welcome, Superintendent.
Thank you. One of the reasons that I don't go to the grocery store very often. This is from the school system.
Okay.
It explains where we are as a system, some of the steps that we're taking. The highlights, there's a little extra information on each level. The highlights are quick to locate. We have served over 85,000 meals in the last month across the community. We have just started today or maybe tomorrow using our buses also. I'm sorry. We have just started also using our buses to deliver some instructional supplies. We saw the need from some of our parents to have some help with traditional supplies, such as things like perhaps construction paper and some of the things that you would find in the classroom, because they just don't have those available. But they're also asking for some other things which in the school system we call manipulatives. These are just simple counters. You could use anything. You could use wood chips if you wanted to, but it just allows students to take the numbers that they have and put them into some kind of a physical representation so that they can regroup and practice some of the math skills they need. We're also supplying for them, these are called base 10 blocks. Instead of just teaching the formulas, which is what most of us had when we were in school, whenever particularly, let's think about algebra and geometry, where Sam Lee would tell us what the formula was for the Pythagorean theorem. I'm sure you all remember that. Should we take a test? Probably not. But this helps us help the students understand why those formulas work. And that's one of the pieces, the reason I'm bringing that up, that's one of the pieces that our community doesn't always understand. It's not new math, it's just a different level of math, that's all. But this helps with that simple little tool. Of course, some of you probably have worked with your children or your grandchildren with multiplication cards. I mean, we could make these ourselves, but some people don't even have the resources to make those. So we were providing those. And then there's a lot of writing and reading that's going on, and so we're providing paper for that as well. All of those are going to be located in the back of our school buses, and parents or students can come to the bus and request some of those supplies. I've instructed our bus drivers and our riders today to use appropriate social distancing like we are in everything else. With our meals now, most of the time they are dropped off a few feet out from the bus, and the family then comes up and picks that up. We don't do hand-to-hand delivery anymore, just trying to protect all of our workers. We've also supplied the workers on the buses and in cafeterias and other places with personal protection equipment, gloves, masks. We're not to the gown stage because I think that probably would be inhibitive. You probably won't see many of our bus drivers wearing a mask. They are not at quite as great a risk of interaction because they stay located in that place. But they have them available. One of the problems that I've found whenever I put a mask on is wearing glasses. It has a tendency to fog my glasses up, so I feel like I'm not able to see anyhow. So anyhow, we have provided those pieces for those employees. We have also asked some of our not some of, but all of our staff who are instructional to really consider how much time they need to be in the buildings. One of the things that we all recognize is there is a connectivity concern across Swain County, and that includes our teachers. We have several teachers who have a limited amount of access to use their computer equipment and even their phones. And so many are still coming to the schools to access our wireless. And they'll come into the building, but we've asked for them to practice that social distancing, use their own classroom, et cetera, things like that. And so far, we're seeing about 20% at the most come back onto campus. Most people are working from home. We've asked them to be very cautious with doing that over the next couple of weeks in light of the pieces that the county has put in place with shutting down the buildings. Our instructional engagement with the students varies, and it's really interesting to watch the numbers come back to me from the schools about how many students are engaged, and even the students that are engaged, how much work is being completed. We have a high level of personal engagement in pre-K, elementary schools, and even into the middle school. But the minute that you step into the high school age group, you're dealing with a little bit of a different mindset with the students, and they have a tendency at times, if they aren't face-to-face or have some kind of a product that they have to turn in, to disengage a little bit. In order for us to overcome that, one of the things that we're doing is we're making personal points of contact using social workers, using our counselors, using our Indian Ed tutors, and using some of the other staff, particularly at the high school, to keep those students engaged and interactive. We're seeing about a 60% academic input return from the students, but we're seeing close to 95 or 100% personal engagement. So that means 95 to 100% of our students and our families are actually receiving interaction from the school system. Now, I just need to tell you that is one of the primary reasons that we continue to try to have instructional engagement, is because we need to keep the personal engagement happening with the students. It helps the students keep away from that isolation mindset, and it also helps our teachers have some energy. Nobody goes into teaching unless they get their energy from the students that are sitting in front of them somewhere. And in order for us to continue to move forward, we need those pieces going back and forth. Now, for those reasons that I've mentioned to you, I know that the county offices are going to be closed for the next couple of weeks. We're going to continue as a school system doing business like we have been. I feel like that we have placed the social distancing pieces into a good place for our staff, and I feel like the return that we're getting from the students is well worth the energy that we're putting into this. There's another piece that I have to keep in the back of my mind, and that is, at some point, we will be back in school. We will be back in the buildings. I don't know when that is. Right now, the governor has said May the 18th, and we'll do whatever he tells us to do. But there will be a day when the buses will run to our campuses again, and we want to make sure that when our students walk in the door that we have lost as little ground as possible between now and then. There will still be educational loss. There's not any way that we can get away from that. And what I'm afraid is that we will see the gap between the students who have, and the families who tend to have a little more initiative, and those who have a little less initiative. I'm afraid the gap between those two groups is going to widen. So one of the pieces that we're already beginning to look at is how can we remediate, and how can we help the students who have fallen behind. It's going to be an interesting challenge for us. But I want you to know that we are continuing to work with students. We are continuing to feed students. You will notice on the document that I gave you, the second page is a letter of thank you that I was given when I was riding a bus to deliver meals last week. And it's very poignant, and it's from a family who is depending upon the school system for more than just education right now. And I think that that's meaningful for us, and I know that that's meaningful for you. I know that very often you probably feel like you don't get a lot of compliments, but the way that you're supporting our school system is enabling us to do that, and I thank you. There's also a short post from Annette Clapsaddle. She posted this, I believe, the day before last now, and it helps you and everyone else understand that we're not just dealing with the educational needs of the students, that we have students who are trying to make a living on their own to support their families right now. And we may be the only face that they see that has a smile on it throughout the course of the day. That's why we want to keep rolling the buses and keep getting into the homes any way that we can. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Sale, but I do just have a thank you. I believe that the school system's doing great, given the situation we're in, and I have not heard anything but positives on the feeding programs and the buses going around to everybody, and I think it's just positive for our whole school system. And I just congratulate you, as well as, of course, you're just a part of that. Every one of all of our
Yes.
personnel, all of our school personnel. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I'd like to thank them.
And I appreciate you saying it that way, Roger. I'm just a piece of, we could say, the machine. The real working is happening in the building with the people who have their hands on it, and they need to be congratulated, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions?
Questions, comments? Any questions, comments?
Thank you all very much.
Well, just a moment. I have a couple of questions, and I don't know if you noted, but as I came in this morning, I saw the sign thanking you and thanking the teachers.
Yes.
And I just thought it was good. I appreciated it. In the educational loss that you were
Yes.
talking about, do you have anything in mind as to what the measurement of that? We know that during the summer, there's some educational
Yes.
loss. Compared to the summer, how are you anticipating the educational loss for this period of time?
That's hard to measure right now. We do have some tools, particularly at the elementary level, that we'll be using, particularly if we're able to get back into the schools May the 18th. That will help us track what that loss might be, even at an individual level. Now, as to a predictive answer, all I can tell you, it's going to be at least double what we're used to seeing over the summer. And my fear, and this is totally unmerited, unmeasured, my fear is it will be greater than that, because we've not only lost what we would normally accomplish in a school year, we will have lost what we will have accomplished probably back into the fall. So I'm afraid it could be exponential for groups of students. And that's one of the pieces, Dr. Bushyhead, that we have to remember. We're not dealing with the material like a furniture factory might deal with. All of the supplies, all the materials that come to us don't come with the same level of expectation. It's very much varied. And therefore, the loss could be greater in some places, and it might not be as much in others. It just depends on the material, the person that comes to us. That's hard to measure.
When you first started talking, you talked about the parents and the students working together at home.
Yes.
Have you offered any, or you said you were going to do that, offered any home schooling skills to parents? Is that part of this whole process? I noticed you brought something today that you mentioned.
I think that you'll find that there is greater support for parents of students who are in primary grades for that, because that skill set is usually not quite as advanced. We have implemented a hotline that runs in the evenings that's being manned by some of our staff who would normally be working in after school, so that if a parent or a student has a question in the evening, they can call in and get an answer. A lot of our staff are actually having face-to-face engagement digitally with all students who are able to do that.
Okay.
There are even, and I hate to say it this way, but this is the most personal reference that I have. My daughter, who is a first grade teacher, is holding groups almost on a daily basis where she will actually interact face-to-face with the students so that they're getting that level of instruction.
Right.
One of the difficulties I think everybody would realize in helping parents is that parents have a limited time frame that they're able to interact with the school system. If you take a normal parent who might be working an 8-hour job, they're going to get home somewhere at 4 or 5 o'clock, and they still have life to live that evening. And so trying to get them in front of a screen might be a challenge. We are noticing, Dr. Bushyhead, that a good deal of elementary work is happening between the hours of 5 and 8. And some parents are calling teachers, actually calling them and asking for help. So the amount of help that we are able to offer to parents for those instructional skills is limited, but some is there.
Screen time, are we talking cell phones as well? Is that?
I believe that they can use cell phones. Every student I know from 3rd grade through 12th grade has a digital device that the school system has supplied for them, so that can be used as long as there's connectivity. A large portion of our kindergarten through 2nd grade have iPads that we've been able to send home with them. The percentage of students with iPads is not as great as the percentage of students with those other digital devices from 3rd grade through 12th grade.
When you, we got a list from our clerk as well as some lists that, Hotspots.
Yes.
Are they still working?
Yes.
Is that working?
Yes.
And
they are. One of the things that we're noticing at times is with the extreme amount of use for our wireless sites, there are times when it seems to be overwhelmed because so many people are using it at the moment. However, I don't hear any large number of complaints about that.
Okay.
Now, I didn't add a few minutes ago, Dr. Bushyhead, that for the students that don't have strong connectivity, we're also supplying a different form of instructional material, sometimes as a packet that a parent could come and pick up. Our high school yesterday delivered 30 USB thumb drives to students that have connectivity issues. We're trying to do everything that we possibly can to provide equity of opportunity across the board in a time when equity is very difficult to obtain.
Right. After you having said that, let me just join with the commissioner in saying that we're very, very pleased and very, very proud and, you know, of what you have done for the students of Swain County. So, and I recognize that it's if you don't have the push or the effort or the concern coming from the top, you don't get anything done. And so sometimes we offer congratulations to you for that purpose, not to ignore anyone else, but, you know, just to say that we're very, very proud and pleased that you have done what you have done. I have one more question, and and I don't even know what the answer is myself. Could a commissioner join and ride with a school bus to help giving out supplies and stuff?
I would caution with that at this point, particularly in light of the fact that there is some support that we may be entering into the most critical phase
Right.
of this crisis. We are very much limiting the public access to our facilities and our school buses for that very reason. We have staff that are nervous,
Right.
and yet they soldier on. And so I would ask, if you want to do that, that you would allow us about 3 weeks to get past this particular peak season. And I'm sure that we'll still be delivering meals the first couple of weeks of May. I don't see the state changing the educational expectations between now and then. So the first couple of weeks of May, if y'all wanted to participate in those bus rides, I believe that we could arrange that.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
An update for COVID cases in the United States. There are 390,000 cases in the United States. There are 24,582 deaths. In North Carolina, laboratory confirmed cases, there are 5,123 and 117 deaths. The case fatality rate for the United States is roughly about 4%. For North Carolina, it's roughly 2%. From the last meeting, I recall, I think North Carolina was about 1.3, 1.4%. So of course, we have gone up in North Carolina. In Swain County, we have tested we have collected 143 test kits. 124 were negative and 19 are currently pending.
I'm sorry, quote that last part again.
Sure will. 143 tests, 124 negative, 19 are pending. That was as the data from yesterday. We do know there's some more tests completed yesterday afternoon, so that number will go up today. Of course, just like last week, the majority of the lab confirmed cases are with people ages 25 to 49. And the death rate by ages, of course, is 65 and older. That is 80% of the death rate.
Okay.
Just some health department updates about the health department. We were notified yesterday about services that we must maintain. And of course, we are doing that. That, of course, is environmental health, vital records, communicable disease, things of that nature. They did give us, they did waive some services for inspections for environmental health. They have reduced that requirement. Some restaurants have to be inspected 4 times a year. Now they're only requiring it for 2 times a year during this time. So just to let you know about that. And also, we will be open for the next 2 weeks. Our doors will be locked, and it will be by appointment only because we will only have half staff during those 2 weeks.
We must be doing something right.
We are.
And having made that comment, I will say that I am very, very pleased with the citizens of Swain County in following these regulations, simply because the distancing
Yes.
is the only thing that we know from the national level on down that appears to be working and stopping the spread. And so I just want to make a comment that I'm very, very pleased with the report that you give, because we're still looking to find our first active case. And doesn't mean it's not coming. It just means that right now we're doing very well. As was mentioned earlier, the curve is there and we're in the middle of it. And as long as we can keep people understanding that the distancing and other things are for their benefit, then I think we'll do okay. So I appreciate that. Any questions, gentlemen?
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Been a very active period for the Swain County Sheriff's Office from the beginning of this until present time, and we're out working every day trying to protect the people of Swain County. A lot of people are, not a lot of people, but some people are complaining about still seeing out-of-state cars here. And we went through that list of property owners, and there's 50 states, people in 50 states that own properties in Swain County and 3 countries. So, you know,
Wow.
a lot of those people have the legal right to be here. We do inform them, you know, if you're coming from out of state or out of the country, you've got to go through the quarantine process. And thankfully, so far, most of those are compliant.
Very good. Very good.
That's about the extent of my report today.
Okay.
So if anybody got any questions, I'd be glad to answer what I can.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I have some questions. Are we writing lots of citations for curfew or?
At this point, we're not answering any questions on the curfew on the advice for our attorney. There's pending litigation, so we're not going to be answering any questions on curfew.
Thank you.
Any other? Thank you and your staff, Sheriff.
Thank you.
So our emergency team met yesterday. David Breedlove's not here today, but at this point, our emergency team does not have any further restrictions or anything like that we're proposing. I think we're doing a good job as far as maintaining the community's health at this point, and so we're going to keep it, our recommendations as is, and then we'll revisit it on May the 4th. We are going to be having a meeting on May the 1st. Our emergency team will be meeting on May 1st to kind of go over the next 2 weeks, and then at that point we'll have other recommendations for you, I'm sure, on the May 4th meeting.
Commissioners, comments, questions? At this point, I think we have fulfilled the obligation for this particular meeting. So I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, if I can at this meeting, revisit again the curfew. I would like to recommend that we look at that again. I see it still as an unneeded thing,
It's still what?
an unneeded
Oh.
regulation.
Okay.
I do not feel like it's doing anything to prevent the virus. And I would like for us to revisit it to see why we're still doing it.
Well, I think that the last time the issue came up, we decided that we would continue as is until May the 4th. So I think revisiting it at this point is not conducive to the business that we're trying to conduct.
I disagree with you with that too,
That's
Mr.
fine.
Chairman,
That's fine.
because I believe this meeting is about what we're doing. It's a special meeting about it, and if we have any reasons to think that we should revisit now, and I do,
Okay?
I have reasons, and I think we all got letters of people, and I've had several more people talk to me about revisiting it, and I told them I would, and that is what I'm doing.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
Just one question to the sheriff on your late night stuff after the 10. Is there did that help with things that were going on in the county, the problems you had before?
Again, I don't think that I'm at liberty to even speak about that because we're pending litigation.
Okay. Commissioner, if it's okay, I would like to have us set up a meeting with our attorney, county attorney. And because of the steps that we've already taken to back up and how that would affect any other decisions that we've made if we were to do that. So let me get some legal advice on that, and then we will proceed from there.
All right.
Okay?
And I do have one more question.
Okay.
I've been asked it several times, and I'd asked Mr. King about why 288 had been shut back down, and can you tell me that reason again, please?
Yes, so 288 is a multi-use park. We both have the boat ramp, which is the majority of people that you're probably talking to is concerned about the boat ramp not being open. But also there's picnic tables, places for people to gather, more than 10 people. So that's why we shut it down. It is a park. It is part of the recreation department. We've shut down 288, the recreation department, and the Larka playground. So all of the parks that are with the rec park have been shut down, and that's one of them.
So it is considered a park and not a
Correct.
public access area to the lake?
It's county leased property from TVA.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
I don't think I have anything to add that hasn't been stated.
Okay. I don't want to shut down anybody. I don't want to appear to shut down anybody, so I'm giving people a chance if they want to speak. If not, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn. I need a second.
A second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to adjourn. Any comments? If not, then those in favor of adjournment, please raise your right hand. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Susan's already